Chapter 1, 1008, Respective Sacrifices. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. Under Fang Yuan's control, graceful, chaotic dual stage erupted with a dazzling red light. The red light enshrouded a large distance, burning like a raging inferno. A mysterious strength was spread over the fire. Any Vajra tribulation pearl that hit the immortal Gu house would be engulfed by the red light and sealed inside. The rank 9 immortal essence of Giant Sun. Immortal Venerable allowed graceful chaotic dual stage to display its strongest ability. Crack. The whole immortal Gu house shook intensely and started cracking. It was barely able to absorb the relic Vajra tribulation. After all, this was a grand tribulation. But Fang Yuan still succeeded. More and more Vajra pearls were controlled by him, sealed inside graceful, chaotic dual stage temporarily. However, Fang Yuan had to pay a huge price for this. We battled for so long, but the portion of Giant Sun's immortal essence I took out was not expended by even 30%. But after absorbing 100 Vajra pearls, all of that portion of Giant Sun's immortal essence was expended. The rapid expenditure of Giant Sun's immortal essence caused Fang Yuan to be inwardly shocked. But right now was not the time to be distressed over the loss. He took out more of Giant Sun's immortal essence. Graceful, chaotic dual stage moved freely. Not only was it safe in the Grand Tribulation, it also absorbed even more Vajra pearls, its strength continuing to increase instead. Heaven Overseeing Tower was a rank 9 immortal Gu house. With astonishing defense and with fate, immortal Gu as its core, it had a defensive effect against calamities and tribulations. But Fang Yuan's graceful chaotic dual stage, under the effect of Giant Sun's immortal essence, was able to display extraordinary might. Displaying the wonders of time path, its strength did not decrease, but increased. After a wave of this grand tribulation, Shadow Sect's Sacred Feather City suffered the biggest damage. Even if they had used large numbers of wish power mortal Gu, it could not match Fang Yuan and Heavenly Court. The relic Vajra tribulation continued for 8 minutes before stopping abruptly. Without letting the three sides have time for a breather, a second wave of tribulation descended. Circles of light lit up in the sky. From within the circles of light, multiple giant deer charged out. Each of these deer were the size of an elephant. Their bodies were translucent, seemingly formed from white light. Immemorial desolate beast. Destiny. Light deer. This was a grand tribulation formed from immemorial desolate beasts. Every immemorial desolate beast could match a rank 8 Gu immortal, and now there was a whole 22 of these deer. That is to say, there were 22 beasts of rank 8 battle strength. No doubt, even if these deer did not have any wild immortal Gu on them, this grand tribulation's power was much more terrifying than the first wave. The light deer group galloped towards the 10 extreme immortal zombie lifeless formation. In an instant, Shadow Sect's group paled. A gap quickly expanded in the 10 extreme formation, letting half of the deer group enter inside. Destiny light deer have 9 colors corresponding to the immemorial 9 heavens. These deer are all white light deer. It seems they should come from white heaven. Destiny light deer have gentle natures. They are named in beautiful legends where they carried humans to the heavens. Who would have thought that under the influence of heaven's will, these deer would go berserk and be filled with intent to battle? Despite Heavenly Court's Gu immortals not wanting to participate, by being in this situation, they were unable to evade and were also involved. Fang Yuan controlled graceful chaotic dual stage to retreat to the edge of the battle. These light deer were alive. He was unable to use the immortal Gu house to seal them. The attacks that could be sealed by graceful, chaotic dual stage, using the mysteries of time path, were things like wind, water, earth, and fire, not beasts. Fortunately, Fang Yuan had captured many Vajra pearls earlier. He used them now to force the deer away. In the second wave of tribulations, Heavenly Court's situation was best. Fang Yuan's second and Shadow Sect had the heaviest pressure on them, their situation extremely critical. At the crucial moment, it was immortal zombie Bo Qing who stood out. He activated famous and dazzling sword path killer moves, like 5-finger fist heart sword, their power unstoppable and terrifying. Most of the Destiny Light Deer lost their lives on the spot under the slashes of sword lights. Even if they had wild immortal goo, it was of no use. Bo Ching was already dead, but his immortal zombie body was filled with an unimaginable number of sword path Dao marks. With the amplification of these Dao marks, even the same killer move would have completely different effects from when Qin Bai Sheng used it. The difference was gigantic. Yirm, immortal zombie. Bo Ching persevered bitterly, finally letting Shadow Sect get through the second wave of grand tribulations. However, the dark clouds in the sky was already extremely sparse. The 10 extreme physique immortal zombies were no longer able to conceal themselves and were vaguely visible. The formation has already weakened to its lowest point charge, Fang Yuwen resolutely called out. Graceful, chaotic dual stage shot out Vajra pearls, attempting to break the formation. On another side, Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord also saw this good opportunity, and Heaven Overseeing Tower also moved out, adding insult to Shadow Sect's injury. What to do? Inside Sacred Feather City, Ying Wuxi had his head in his hands, unable to do anything to help. The expressions of Shadow Sect's other Gu immortals were also ashen. The mood was extremely solemn. It was already the crucial moment between victory or defeat. The 10 extreme immortal zombie lifeless formation was completed, and would either succeed or fail. There was no other result. Once the formation was broken, everything would fall apart in succession. There is nothing else we can do. We can only sacrifice Zombie Alliance. Seven-Star Child heaved a long sigh before coming to a decision. The Zombie Alliance branches that were spread throughout the 5 regions were actually subordinate forces of Shadow Sect, like how the 10 great ancient sects of Central Continent were subordinates to Heavenly Court. It was just that Shadow Sect was extremely covert. Many Zombie Alliance higher-ups were not even aware of it. This secret was hidden in the deepest parts of Zombie Alliance. The 10 extreme immortal zombie lifeless formation was the greatest plan of Shadow Sect, made by exhausting everything they had. At this moment, Shadow Sect was forced to make a painful sacrifice, giving up Zombie Alliance to salvage this situation. The backup plan was activated. One after another, figures appeared within the 10 extreme formation. These were immortal zombies from all the Zombie Alliance branches. Numerous rank 6, rank 7, and rank 8 zombies appeared. Their numbers were shocking. This is, inside Graceful Chaotic Duel Stage, He Lu Lan, Tai Bai Yun Sheng, and the rest were wide-eyed as they blurted out together. Sure enough, Shadow Sect was behind Zombie Alliance. Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord frowned, killing intent surging within him, his gaze turning cold. Good. We will catch all these rebels that defy Heaven's will in one fell swoop. But unexpectedly, these immortal zombies did not seem to be in a conscious state, and were like puppets controlled by wires. Before Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord could make a move, they actually sacrificed themselves, turning into a portion of the 10 extreme formation. Big sister, Fairy Li Shan howled in grief. Among these immortal zombies, she saw Blazing Heaven Demoness's figure. But this rank 8 immortal zombie, the leader of Northern Plains Zombie Alliance branch, did not seem to be in a conscious state, showing a blank expression. Under the gazes of Fairy Li Shan and He Lu Lan, Blazing Heaven Demoness also followed these immortal zombies, turning herself into immortal material, merging into the huge formation. Obtaining these immortal zombie bodies filled with Dao marks as well as countless immortal goo in immortal apertures, the 10 extreme formation's dark clouds condensed and instantly expanded, surpassing its previous peak state and reaching an unprecedented level, almost covering the whole sky. Fairy Li Shan wept tears of sadness. He Lu Lan sank into silence. Fang Yin frowned. The rank 8 reinforcement he was anticipating had died miserably in front of his eyes. Who could have thought Zombie Alliance had such a relation to Shadow Sect? Even if someone had seen through the truth and spoke it out, who would believe them? Spreading throughout the 5 regions, an overlord among super forces, the huge Zombie Alliance was actually only a front for Shadow Sect. Previously, Shadow Sect issued a compulsory task to refine goo formations on a large scale. It was probably to scheme against Zombie Alliance's members. Tai Bai Yun Sheng suddenly came to a realization, feeling his heart chilling at the sinister motive of Shadow Sect. Fang Yuan's expression was also unsightly. I had guessed the relation between Shadow Sect and Zombie Alliance, but had not expected there to be such a situation. My previous life's memories misled me. After all, during the Five Regions' chaotic war, all the Zombie Alliance branches had existed. Such an immense cost, killing almost all the immortal zombies of the Five Regions, and making them into immortal materials to put in this 10 extreme formation. What do they want to refine? Could it be the legendary goo for eternal life? Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord similarly had an extremely unsightly expression. The immortals from Heavenly Court behind him also showed worried expressions. Even if they were experienced and knowledgeable, with high status and power, they could not help but be awestruck by this astonishing move of Shadow Sect. From this moment onwards, the super force with the most goo immortals over the Five Regions, Zombie Alliance, was completely destroyed, dissipating in the wind. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh! A piercing sound penetrated everyone's ears. The third wave of grand tribulations had descended. Heaven's will was ferocious. No matter what Shadow Sect was trying to refine, it was clear that it was absolutely a heaven-defying thing and had already provoked the fury of Heaven's will. Even heaven and earth did not permit its creation. The third wave of grand tribulations was much more terrifying than both the previous two grand tribulations combined. Sharp rain started falling from the sky. Every drizzle of rain was only half an inch long, but they were incomparably sharp as if they could pierce through everything in the world. Grand tribulation, absolute piercing rain. The 10 extreme formation was reconstructed, but the dense, rumbling dark clouds seemed to have suffered a huge blow, unable to regain their strength. Fang Yuan repeated the same thing, using Giant Sun's immortal essence to activate graceful chaotic dual stage to absorb the piercing rain. It was just that this time, he clearly felt the difficulty was many times higher than earlier. After holding on bitterly for a while, graceful chaotic dual stage was pierced in many places, with large numbers of goo worms continuing to be sacrificed. If this continues, the immortal goo house can probably only last 15 minutes of time, He Lulong called out to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan also did not have any good methods. Despite him already using all his strength and absorbing many attacks with graceful chaotic dual stage, he still was not able to protect everything. The arrow-like rain he was dealing with was only about 10% of the total. Shadow Sect was suffering most of the arrow-like rain. With this, anyone would know the terror of the Grand Tribulation. Under such a fatal predicament, rank 8 goo immortals absolutely would not have a good time. The third wave ended. Sacred Feather City and graceful chaotic dual stage were both shattered. The remaining goo worms were stored by the respective goo immortals. Heaven Overseeing Tower was filled with cracks, many times deeper than before. A corner of the tower had even completely crumbled apart. Everything is over. The final victor can only be Heavenly Court. Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord laughed loudly, activating the strongest attack of Heaven Overseeing Tower. This was an attack that carried the power of fate, unavoidable and unstoppable. At the next moment, Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord saw, under Heaven Overseeing Tower's attack, the formation cracked open. Shadow Sect's goo immortals suffered countless casualties. Fang Yuan and the rest also died together.